first time on StreamYard, and looks like I was supposed to click a button called Go Live, and I did not. That way, a lot of some part of it is not recorded on YouTube. So I'm kind of starting on YouTube now. So if you are trying to reach on YouTube, correct on YouTube, sorry about that. So I guess the stream will be recorded from this moment on. So I will not repeat myself, but I would really request you uh, to send me comments and go from there, right? And then if you have a feedback on how I'm doing, give me some feedback. So so for those who are on YouTube, I just gave a very high level idea of what programming is and what different kind of programming languages are, and then we'll talk about where Python fits in between. So Python, as compared to, let's say, C, C++, and Java, uh, I mean, the creator of Python tried to make it very easy to use even for a non-technical person, because so how he did it is like by reducing the amount of uh, by essentially using more human I mean human language kind of syntax, and and reducing the number of keywords you had to type, the number of characters you had to type, and uh, essentially making code blocks that's easier to understand, and uh, getting rid of complicated syntax, right? So Python is that's why Python is very popular nowadays by uh, among the people who are not really programmers and or technical people. Let's say scientists. Scientists are not really programmers, and also there's even I've seen accountants and so many other people who want to automate their task can use Python, right? They use Python. Python can be used even in, I mean, very small CPUs and some hobby devices, right? Like Raspberry and whatnot, right? Uh, and also, a lot of people who are working with, let's say, machine learning databases or data analytics, they can use Python. Python's very simple syntax to get their work done. uh, how they get things done, say, without knowing a lot of programming, is by using something called Python libraries. So Python libraries, I mean, essentially are pre-built a set of code that somebody else has created for you to get something done, right? So let's say you want to do some data analytics, or you want to do some machine learning, or you want to do some very uh, specific mathematical operations. You can import or include those libraries, Python libraries, and use the methods there or the APIs to in your program, right? Okay, Niharika, you are an expert. I think I would like you to help me someday talk about it on the stage. So if you feel like coming on the stage, let me know. Or Sushant, if you have something to add, or Arun Roli is unfortunately not able to connect. So uh, let's see. Okay, please feel free to post a comment as well, Sushant and Arun. Or Roli is not connected. So Pandas is favorite library, your favorite library. That's great. Pandas is more related to data engineering and data analytics, I believe. Uh, I have used it very less, but anyways. So right now my goal is to cover, I mean, very basics of programming and introduction to Python, without making it very complicated, and because there may be some people here in the audience who haven't done any programming at all, and I want to help them and get excited about programming by using a simple language like Python, right? We'll get into more specific applications of Python maybe in the coming days. So today we'll just talk about programming in general. Now, I just like I said before, programming is like cooking or programming, or let's say writing a poem, or even I would say uh, painting, right? So when writing programs, we have to make sure that the code is easily readable, easily understood, and uh, and essentially does not do way more than what it's intended to do, right? And it's easy to fix and maintain. So that's why understanding the very basics of programming is very, very important, or any language. The very basics, start with very, very basics. I've seen so many people with so much experience who did not, who ignored a lot of basic, uh, I mean, learning about very basics of a certain language. And when there was there was a big problem, they couldn't fix it. Most of the I have handled really, really complicated problems in different companies, uh, and those were only, I could handle those only because I knew the very basics. Most of the most difficult to solve problems boil down to the very basics of any tool or technology, right? So it's important to learn about the very basics. And so that's about programming in general. If you have a comment, please, or question, please do post here. Okay. Uh, if you allow me, I will quickly check my WhatsApp messages because I'm getting some comments there, some feedback there as well. There was a few more people who were supposed to join. Uh, okay, let's see. I hope nobody is facing technical issues. I believe Rolly is. All right, let me see. Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks so much. Now, what I want to do today is present, share my screen. Just bear with me. I'm still learning how to do this using this tool called StreamYard. Okay, let's see. So now I essentially like using two websites for Python tutorial. One is called learnpython.org, or learnpython.org, and the other one is W3 Schools. I kind of like Learn Python a bit more, so share share that I'll share the screen and take you through some of these uh, concepts mentioned in this website. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. I'm just trying to see if you can see this page clearly. Let me know. I hope you can. Let me turn off the camera. Maybe I don't need camera. That way you can see more of more of what I'm going to do here. I do not see a way to turn off camera for me, or there is some way. Oh, stop cam. Okay. No, this is still not allowing me to. Okay, maybe that's well. Anyways, so can you guys see the screen? Niharika? Oh, Niharika is not there. Oh yeah, Tina, Arun, Sushant. Okay, so I will start with um with the welcome section where we learn the very basics today. So first thing is, almost all the programming tutorials start with "Hello World," where you just print out "Hello World" to the console. I will talk about what is a console later for those who haven't done programming, and or let's say the print to the screen, right? And then we will deep dive into variables and types and what is a variable, right? And then some other things like, and then next we will cover what are the lists. Lists are nothing but a data structure to store data, and basic operators, string formatting, we will also see what are the different kind of operations that can be done on a certain string. So okay, and then also one key concept is conditions, like for example, if, else, when, and whatnot, right? And then also one of the very important things to automate your code is by using loops, like execute a certain instruction multiple times automatically. Then there is a concept called functions, where you write a certain set of instructions and call it multiple times by making it as a part of function, and just call you can call that function instead of writing the code multiple times. So there's a way to reuse code in the program. Now there's a very interesting concept called classes and objects, which I will cover in the coming days. And then there will be some other concepts that we can look into later, right? Are you guys with me so far? You guys good? Hey, Neelam, can you hear me? Okay. So, okay. Now, sorry about that ad, but the good part about these websites, tutorial websites, python.org, learnpython.org, or W3 Schools, the good part is you don't need to install anything on your computer. Like, you don't need to install Python or anything or any IDE. You can just write code in the web interface, and it will execute it for you and you can play with the code to see the results. Are you good so far, guys? Oh, Neelam, good to see you. Okay. Maybe you can also join directly on YouTube, so it's okay. If any of you, hey, Atul, good to see you. If you guys want to join, come on the stage, let me know. But I will start, I mean, it's 9:24 p.m. here. I will go ahead and we have about 15 minutes for today's session. And okay. Now, if you see, the latest, by the way, the latest version of Python is Python 3, and that is what we'll be using today. And Python 3 is sometimes a lot different than what Python 1 and 2 were like. So if be sure, please make sure when using Python, uh, I mean, when installing Python on your laptop, that you're using Python 3. Generally, Python 3 will be installed by default, but some of the code will not work in Python 2 and 1, right? So now, okay, so here we see that the simplest code I think that we can talk about is print. Print essentially, as it's very obvious, it will just print some lines, print some string, I would say. What is a string? Essentially, string is, for those who haven't done programming before, a string is nothing but a set of, I would say, a set of characters that you can use literally, right? As it is. So, uh, there's some code already written here. So, let's say I click on run here, and you see that I mean, on the console or the shell, on the right side, you see that it just the output is this line will be printed, and that's exactly the string that was passed. Now you see these parentheses. So parentheses, essentially what's happening here. Uh, Print essentially is nothing but a function. This is an inbuilt function, means you don't write it yourself. There are functions that you write. There's some functions that are intrinsic to the program or provided by the sorry that by the programming language. There's some and also that make, because it's inbuilt in the programming language, it's also becomes a keyword. Now, so this print function takes an argument. What is an argument? Argument is like so one of the ingredients. I mean, if I want to equate it to cooking example, just like to cook, uh, let's say omelette, you need eggs. So you pass the eggs to the recipe, and then you use the egg in the recipe, and that's how you make the omelette, right? So similarly, uh, this string is an argument here. So a function has one, zero or more arguments. And now this function print has the string argument. Now, what's the fun part? The fun part is you can change the string, let's say call it hello world, and then run again, and then you will see a new output, right? And then, I mean, there are different things you can do on strings, different, we call it operations. Uh, and let's say I want to add two different strings together. I want to what's called concatenate. I want to concatenate two strings. What I will do, I'll just add a plus, just like adding one and two. And then let's do this. I mean, there are different ways to do it, but this is the simplest way. And hello world, let's say rolling, right? I say, look at this. So essentially, what this did, it added these two strings and uh, provided a printout, provided an output, right? So now, what happens? Look at this. So uh, just make a note that I gave it a space here, right? I mean, after D, so that if I don't give a space, world and Rolly will have no space in between, so it won't look good, right? Okay. Atul, any comments so far? Is everybody following me or getting bored or tired? Okay. I guess you are still with me, so that's a good thing. Now, okay, so this is what let's learn a little bit more with this example, some more concepts in programming languages. For example, indentation. Python, unlike Java and C, let's say, uh, Python really relies a lot on indentation. So if you have to essentially, if you don't use the indentation properly, your program will not work. Now, let's say, let's look at this piece of code here. X equals 1. So x equals 1 is doing nothing but to a variable called x, it's assigning the value 1. So x here is a variable uh, that can be, actually it can be named anything. It doesn't have to be x. You can call it xyz and then use it. Yeah, so this is nothing but a name to a nothing but a name for a memory location in the computer. So x equals 1, and we assign the value x equals 1. Then at the same indentation level, we start the next statement. If is a keyword, essentially similar to word if in English language. And then if you notice, it says x equals 1. uh, Interestingly, there's two equal signs here. It's not just equals 1. So there's a difference between this equals and this equals. There's single equal and double equal. What's the difference? This equals is assigning a value, and this equals is comparing two values. So this one is a condition, what is called a condition or a compare. So in this statement, you are testing if this value equals 1, if x equals 1. Now, so please make a note of those who haven't done programming before. Please make a note that 2 equals means in Python means it's not assignment, it's comparison. So it's a condition. So it's just testing a condition if x equals 1. So what will be the result of a condition? True or false? So if x equals 1, it will be true. If x is not equal to 1, it will be 0. Sorry, it will be false. Now, there's a if you see, there's a colon here. So after the condition, there's a colon, these two dots, there's a colon. Don't forget that. Now, then if you look at this statement here, the one in green, you see that there's a this pound or hash operator here, or hash sign here. This is used to add comments to your code. What is a comment in the code? Comment is the part of the code which never gets executed. It's just like, it's very obvious, it's just a comment for clarity. So what happens, this in this case you're this in this case they're using four spaces. So if you see, one, two, three, oh, okay, anyways, so it's four spaces here. uh, and under and then you see print x equals 1, and then you write the statement x equals 1 after indentation. Why? Because if x equals 1 is a statement, and this statement has to end somewhere, right? I mean, this if statement has to end somewhere, and there can be else uh, uh, block also. So this essentially, under this if block, you are trying to execute a set of code, set of instructions, and that's why you indent it. Now, uh, so what this code is gonna do? This code is gonna test the condition whether x equals 1, and then if it is true, it will print x equals 1. Now let me execute it. Let me run it. So here we go. So uh, we see that x is 1, is printed here because x actually equals 1. Now let's change this value a bit. If any of you is getting bored, let me know. Now look at this. If here, I mean, in this case, we change the value to 2. Now, this block of code print will not be executed because this will be executed. This print x equals 1 will be executed only if x is 1. So that's how the if statement, basic if statement works. Uh, if has, I mean, in a if statement, you can also have else statements also, which essentially executes the part of the other another part of the code, which uh, uh, which uh, which gets executed, another part of code which gets executed if this condition is not true. We'll learn about that later. Today it's just the very basics. So as we see, I mean, we just did an exercise already, so I will just skip this part, printing goodbye world or hello world. Now, okay, Atul, thanks for the feedback, and Neelam, thanks for the feedback. Um, I see. I think Sushant had, but Sushant is not here anymore. It's okay. I think that's fine. Now, I think he had. It's already 40 minutes, and he had some work to do. So, okay. So the goal is to make a very basic, to create a very basic video about programming today, or learn how to do very basics. Now, so the other concept we wanted to learn about, I mean, it's 40 minutes into the stream, or 30 minutes for YouTube viewers. This is, uh, I mean, this is the only other concept I will cover today. Um, and after that, I will close the stream. And if you guys are around, I will have some fun Friday as well, right? So, okay. Now, we briefly talked about variables, right? Um, Now, variables are essentially names given to memory locations in the computer, and to which you assign a certain value, right? Just like here, you are assigning you created a variable called myInt, and you are assigning the value 7 to it. And now, Python, I mean, one of the very types, variable are of different types, let's say strings and numbers and things like that. Now, so in case of numbers also, Python supports integers and floating point numbers, which is also called decimals. Whole numbers, integers are nothing but, I mean, essentially whole numbers. And it also supports complex numbers, which we will not talk about, but it's okay. Let's mostly mostly focus on numbers right now. So here you're assigning myint, uh, I mean 7 to the variable myint, and then you are printing out the value of myint, right? Okay. Okay. So I just ran this line of code, these lines of code, and I get the value 7. So essentially, just like the string hello world, it's printing out the number 7, which is stored in the variable myint. So this is the last concept I'm going to cover today, uh, which is float, right? Float is the other type of numbers, like you said, being supported on Python. So the difference is, how do you assign a float? Is just write it with a decimal point. Let's say 7.0 instead of 7, and then you assign it to your favorite variable. Here it's called my float, and then you can do more operations with this variable, and like here you're just printing it out. And if you see at the same time, uh, we I mean there's another way to declare a floating point number in Python. You can just say float and write the keyword, use the keyword float, and under that in parentheses you can write, and you can just pass an integer. Now, I believe, can you guess what happens here in these two cases? What is the difference in the results? Just think of what how these two will be different. Print my float here and print my float here. Okay, so now running. The fun part is you see 7.0, 7.0 in both cases, because in both the cases, we are passing a floating point number, right? So floating point, don't worry about the word floating much here. We will talk about why it's called floating point in another day. But essentially, just think of it as a decimal instead of a whole number or an integer. So that's the concepts we learned today. We are kind of out of time for this part of the stream. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know. If not, I would like you to watch the recording on YouTube and provide me feedback, comments, and subscribe, and, and like the video if you liked it, and also give me feedback of how this first session went. I hope you learned something good from it, and I try to keep it very simple. We will take it a notch above every time, and try to have fun while doing it. So, with that, I will close this session. And uh, if you guys want to, okay, thank you so much, Niharika. Now, I think the other part of the session we wanted to cover was the trivia part, but I believe we don't have, we will have to skip because the first session, the first part itself, uh, was a bit too long, uh, and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and have a great weekend.